Okay, so I went and grabbed this. This is my N95. So this is a basic construction mask that you would get. Mine was from Home Depot. So you can see it's layers of fusible material. It's exactly what you would use like Pellon, right? Fusible interfacing that they've used to layer out small particulate. And then you've got a really nice band over the nose because you have to have it fit around your nose in order to completely be able to keep out any particulate matter. So we're going to make a couple different variations of an N29, and what I had seen online were the best materials to use for filtering would be like vacuum bags, for the same reason that it's the same material, same compatible material that you find in an N29 or an N95. The concept is the same. It's layers of fusible that are blocking really micro particulate from going through. So if you want to use a vacuum bag to line yours with, you can. Or you could use what I'm using right now, which is fusible interfacing, which there's all different weights of it. This is probably a mid-weight interfacing. So these you might have at home. I don't know if you can get out and get those materials at this point, but you'll see it's got a glue dot all over one side, these teeny little dots. And then the other side will be your solid. So, okay. So the mask first mask I'm gonna be working with today is this Fitted Facemask. Freeswing.org has this posted online. I put a link to this on my Facebook page. I'm also gonna put a link to it on this video, of course, so you can go ahead, print it out. I just got mine printed out at FedEx yesterday, and it comes in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. I'm working with the medium, which I find to be plenty big, but this is my first one I'm making, so we'll see once I get it made up how it fits and what we think of it. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is choose the size mask you want to make. Since I'm going to be going with a medium, that's that one right there. They don't have any seam allowance on their masks already, so you're going to have to add seam allowance to it. And I will do that with this blue pencil, just so you can see it. So basically take your clear ruler, and add 1/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way to the outside, right? Following the medium lines all the way. Okay, so you get this all the way around. Then, after you get that all the way around, what you're gonna do is cut it out, including your seam allowance, like I've done here. Then we're gonna go ahead and then cut 2 of these on our fabric, and you're gonna cut a left and a right side, which means you have to cut one facing this way and one facing that way, so that when you put them together, you have 2 right sides to your fabric. Like this. Ignore my awful cutting. Okay. What I shave off. So, and then take your Pellon. Make sure you want your side of your fabric you want out. In this case, I'm going to be using that side, which is the darker brown. Out. Put your Pellon. Look for the glue dots. Glue dot side down, right? Center it in your piece. It should be having a little space around all the edges, right? And then take your iron and see what the instructions are on your fusible Pellon. Mine says use a wool steam setting and hold for 10 seconds. It also says use a little bit of a moist steam cloth on it. This is a newer iron, so I'm not going to do that, but with my older iron I would have, just so I wouldn't scorch things. So, and overlap. I like to go in a couple different directions. And just make sure I get the whole thing put down really firmly and tightly. And when you're done, you will end up with something that looks like this. Then when you get both pieces done, you're going to take these 2 pieces and then take them to your machine and sew them together. If you're going to be doing a lining, you're going to do the lining piece separately, and that'll be a different operation. But if you're going to do it as an unlined piece like this one, then this is what you're going to take to your sewing machine next. Okay. Okay, so here's a better shot, because we were shooting into sunlight before, it's hard to see. Here's a better shot of what your pellon will look like inside your piece. So you've got your outer side, you've got your inner lining, and your pellon inside of it. Now we're going to sew those two together. So line up your fabric and figure out where your 1/4 inch mark is. And I would use fairly small stitches because you don't want anything to be able to get through the seam. I'm using really tiny stitches here. And so this first thing you're doing is the bridge of the nose and the front of the face. Okay, like that. Now, I'm totally going to backtrack because I'm doing this in all the wrong order, but I'm sewing this first mask out of Ultra Suede. And the reason I'm doing it out of Ultra Suede because I went through all of my arsenal of fabrics in my office. And as far as mask making materials, I don't have that much that will block out particulate. However, this particular Ultra Suede is very dense and doesn't let air through. I mean, this is, and there's different grades of Ultra Suede too. This one happens to be a very thick, very well fused, I guess would be the word for it, Ultra Suede. I have another one that is not so good. Let's see. This is just a little, it's almost like a chamois cloth. And I don't think you can see the difference on there, but it's just, the nap is higher and the weave is looser, and this is the kind you don't want. So I would say when you're going through your arsenal of fabrics at home, give it a breath test. Like if you were to breathe through an N95, I mean, these are dense. These are very dense. There's not a lot of, you have to work to get good airflow through it. So that's kind of my barometer as well for when I'm making a mask out of a fabric. Like how much airflow can you get through it? If you're easily able to get a ton of air through it, well, it's probably not the best thing. I know it's not the most scientific thing to tell you, but that's the way I'm gauging it. So much like the fusible, I really want to be able to block as much as possible while still being able to breathe. Okay, so this is the first step. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch this center seam down. I'm going through quite a few layers here because I've got 2 layers of fusible and I've got 2 layers of talking and working at the same time isn't working for me. 2 layers of Ultra Suede. So it's pretty thick and there's not a lot of chance for air to get through those layers, but I might end up doing a strip of fusible over the inside anyway just to secure it. So we'll see. All right, get to the very end. And I need to say that this is the first time I'm trying this mask out, so this is as new to you as it is to me, or vice versa. Okay, so here's your top stitch seam in the center of your mask. So that makes it nice and smooth on the inside and nice and smooth on the outside. So this is what you got so far, right? And on this particular one, since I chose the Ultra Suede, which is really thick and already, you know, very windproof, let's say, I'm not going to go ahead and line this one because between the Ultra Suede and the fusible, it's a pretty formidable barrier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish the edges, turn the edges on this one as it is, and then add the elastic. If you're using a lighter weight fabric, like I said, go ahead and line it so The 2 pieces that we cut out earlier, you're also going to want to cut them out of your liner fabric. And then you're going to sew them separately. So both of the sets of seams are going to go inside toward each other. So when you have your mask, it'll be finished on the outside and finished on the inside. Only you won't need to top stitch it then because all of the seams will be facing away from your face. Okay, next.
Rolling.
Now I'm going to turn the edges back on this mask. Since I'm not doing it with a lining, I'm just turning a fat quarter and I'm top stitching it. And do this on all sides, and I'll show you in a second. I'm starting from the bridge of the nose and stitching. And I will be starting from the bridge of the nose and the center of the chin on both pieces, and I'll show you why. Again, this is the first time I'm sewing this, but so I'm learning this as I go. Okay, so the reason that I'm sewing it from the bridge of the nose to the outside is because there's such an extreme bend in the nose right here. It's really easy for this to get off when you're stitching it, and you're going to be really frustrated. So start from the center on both sides and stitch outwards. See what I did here? So once you get one side done, go ahead and trim that thread, and then go to the other side and do that side. So put it back on your machine. And go ahead and go in the other direction. It may be kind of hard to see because it's going to be blocking the view to the camera. I think Jeff is doing a fantastic job of being able to get this off. Okay, so okay, so that's basically it. That's what you're going to be doing, is getting that. And it just gives you a nice finished edge. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. The chin will be easier than the bridge of the nose. The bridge of the nose was a more difficult process. Okay, now we're going to do the same to the other side. Like I said, this is the first time I'm sewing this pattern. So this is a size medium, which is pretty sizable, right? So what I want this to fit is a little bit more like my N95, which is tight to my chin and tight to the sides of my face. And then we're going to be putting this metal band on the top of it to bring it tight to our nose. So as I'm looking at this one, which is really big, I'm going to add a pleat to the sides. See how I'm doing that? So that this brings it tight underneath my chin. Because if I don't do that, using the original pattern, it does this. So, let me see. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm basically going to bring this volume down to the size of this volume. I want my elastic to be about as far apart on both masks. So it's going to be like this. So that's about a 1/2 and 1/2 overlap, I would say. Let's take a look. Yeah, so go ahead and give that, let's make sure that that's right. Okay, so go ahead on your pattern, and it's actually 3/4. So give your pattern on a size medium a 3/4 inch overlap. So let me show you what that looks like. See, we're getting to try this pattern out together. So it looks like that, right? And there's your center. Boom. So that's what it's going to look like. Go ahead and add that to the PDF I sent you. So center it in the center of the mask, and then basically you're doing 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, and overlapping it like that. Okay. The other thing I noticed when I tried this mask on is it's really deep too. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a really nice big turn back. I'm gonna give it a turn back of about 3/4 of an inch as well, like so. So it'll be nice and girthy on the edge as well. Okay, so this, you can see on here the marks I've made, right, for the 3/4 overlaps. So go ahead and transfer those onto your pattern. 2, 3, 4. Those are going to be your fold lines. Okay. So once you've got the pleats pinned, and I like them to go with the fold downwards rather than upwards. That's how I'm doing it. Again, this is the first time I'm making this thing, so here we go. So now I've got it pinned together with my 3/4 inch turn back, and I'm going to go ahead and top stitch it down. Okay, so the next step is your elastic bands, right? One to go around the neck and one to go around the head. So I'm looking at my N95 and they're the same length. So both of them should be the same length. However, this mask goes back much further than the N95. So take a look at your elastic and see how it stretches compared to, well, just take a look at your elastic as it goes around your face, because everybody's elastic is going to be a little bit different. You want the mask to fit tightly. So it has to be snug all the way around, snug under your chin, snug everywhere. And then after we get your elastic on, then we're going to work on the nose bridge to snug that up like that. So the first thing to do, I'm not going to worry about clean finishing the elastic on the inside of the mask because I just want it to be smooth and soft against your face. I really don't care about what is happening here. I really don't want it, I don't care what it looks like. I just want it to be smooth and comfortable. So I'm just going to go ahead and really just top stitch it down. First in this direction, on top of your original stitch line, right? And I'm going to go back tack it. What the hell, I'll give it one more. Okay, and then I'm going to cut all that business off, and then I'm going to give it one more at the edge. So go ahead and do that on one side with both pieces. So okay, so once you have one side sewn down like this with your 2 stitches, then go ahead, try it around your head, right? You're going to want one strap to go around your neck and the other to go around the back of your head. This one, better redo these pins so I don't stab myself. I'm going to try it on with the pins in it. So one strap should be going down like that, and the other one should be going over like that. Get them to the point where they're both fitting snugly, right? And then pin down on the other side. That's how you're going to get your measurement. Okay. Okay, so the next step is, now we have our elastic sewn into the bottom and top of our mask, and it ends up looking like this. Huh? Not so bad, right? For a first effort. So the next thing we want to do is create a nose bridge. So you can do this with a piece of wire at home. This one is, what is the nose bridge? I'm going to say it is, 1, 2, 3 1/4 inches long, this particular piece. If you do this with a piece of wire, if you have thick wire, like, hey, let's say you're using a coat hanger, right? And you want to cut a coat hanger, take your coat hanger, cut your piece as long as you want it. And in this case, 3 1/4, grab a hammer. Go outside, take your coat hanger piece, smash it flat. on the pavement. Do you know how to do this? Where you just take and smash the wire all the way across, flatten it out. And that's gonna give you some nice tensile strength, and also it's gonna make it so you don't have this round wire going over your nose. That'll work great. Okay, so I'm gonna work with this galvanized metal, which I use inside my wire cuffs and such. So I have a piece of this metal. I already had a strip cut out from an earlier project, and since I never throw anything away, I'm that person. I'm just gonna take the strip I have and cut it in half. So now I've got this, right? But since I cannot have two little pointy ends like that, I'm gonna go ahead and just snip that off. And probably, I don't think I'll take the trouble of going over it with a jeweler's file or anything like that, but because I'm just not gonna do that. But you can file it if you want to get the edges really smooth. Otherwise, just go ahead and do this. This is not my good tin snip. I don't know where my good tin snip is. This is the one that's kind of like beat to hell. Okay, so once you've got this, then you've got basically your nose bridge piece. And their pattern has a real peak in the center of it where your N95 basically goes more straight across. So you're gonna be able to get this up as far up into the nose bridge as you can, which isn't gonna be the whole way because you have to go straight across like this. Hope I'm making sense to you when you put this in there. Can you see that with the elastic? There we go. Right? Okay, so we've got that. So basically, I'm just gonna do this, fit it as close as I can to the edge of the nose bridge, and then I'm going to glue this in place. Now you can use hot glue if you want to, if you're a hot glue kind of person. I'm not a super great hot glue kind of person, but so I don't think I have any. I think in this particular case though, I will use hot glue just because of the fume aspect. I won't use the glue I would ordinarily use and have this right over my nose. So, okay, stay tuned, I'm gonna glue this down. Okay, so now, actually I did take out a file and just went ahead and filed this down a little bit. But you may not have a file or a rasp at home. You know, also matchbooks work great, emery boards, there's like a million things you can use, right? So I'm doing 1/2 of this at a time as far as hot gluing it. This is just a really crappy glue gun, so the glue does not get all that hot, which is just beyond annoying. But since I don't really use a hot glue gun, I'm not gonna worry about it too much. So, I did, and again, this is the first time I'm doing this mask, so like I'm learning as I go, as I'm showing you. So I started from this side of the bridge out that way, and then let that dry, and then this side of the bridge out that way. And now I'm gonna let that settle in for a moment. Okay, we're gonna give that a minute. The last step, which you really don't need to do, but I do it because that's me. Is I put an extra little piece of ultra suede over my metal. I mean, you can put your metal or your wire on the outside of your nose bridge as well, so you don't have to do that. But if you want to put it on the inside, then I would cover it because you don't want that touching your skin. And then you basically start to shape it to the shape of a nose. And what you do is you sort of get an approximation, and then you put it on and you see how it fits. So where's my other mask? You can see basically how that ends up looking, kind of like that. And you're gonna do the same thing with the wire on yours. And then once you get that done, and mine's got wet glue in it right now, so I'm probably just gonna get, oh my gosh, so fumey. So this is the basic idea. No idea what this looks like. Oh, looks like a mask. don't put that on until after your glue is dry, or you will kill yourself. Make sure whatever glue you use, don't use anything super toxic. The only glues I have are super toxic, so unfortunately this will have to be outside airing out for a long time, just because everything I make has to be wearable in wind and rain and all kinds of crazy element things. So use whatever you've got at home. I suggest a bone-based glue like an Elmer's or something like that that's non-toxic. It would be a great way to go. Or, you know, conversely, you can also stitch it down. So anyway, that's the idea. That's the first mask.